Greetings and salutations, old friends, and hopefully some new friends. If you're new to our show here, please let me know in the live chat. We welcome everyone, but especially new participants in this thing we do. I have been covering this David Wilcock having a charity story for quite some time now. But credit should be given, of course. The person who broke the story and first shared with the world the story that David Wilcock had started his own religion or charity was a bit confusing at the start. Eventually, it would become clear that David Wilcock claimed that he created something called the David Wilcock Spiritual Foundation. It was a charity, a spiritual organization. And what, you may ask, was the stated mission of his charity? Why should people give David Wilcock money for him to do charitable work with? Well, I'm going to share my screen here. And one of the first data points that I think is important to recognize, share, and talk about. His charity's stated mission statement, organization's primary exempt purpose. This is what he filed. He said the purpose of his charity, his spiritual foundation, would be to provide a spiritual message that can help uplift, bring peace and hope in the lives of many. That's what he said his charity was going to do with those charitable donations. They were going to provide a spiritual message that can help uplift, bring peace and hope in the lives of many. Great. So it should be noted that when this person, Stina Maria, did the story outing his charity and showing the paperwork that he had filed, he hit her with some privacy strikes, even though all she did was share publicly available information. Because it would appear that Mr. Wilcock wanted to be able to take tax-free donations and for nobody to know about it. Nobody to watch what he does with the money that he collects. No, it was public information that Stina Maria first shared. And of course, I was very interested in this story from the very beginning. So I followed and went, okay, well, it's a public charity. He's got to file public paperwork with the IRS. Let's go digging. Let's see what other papers we could find. Eventually, we found what is called a 990 form. This is the form that all public charities are required to fill out every year. And it discloses both to the IRS and to the public how much money they collected and what they did with it all. I got to tell you, I got a hold of his first year's filing. Remember, this charity started in 2018. So we got 2018, 2019, 2020 filings that he should make. But he filed the first one, the 2018 one, and then he never filed one in 2019. He never filed one in 2020. And I suppose he's way behind in his paperwork and has been for some time. But we did report on that first year's filing. And I can tell you that he raised something like $70,000. And then he spent something like $30,000 on himself and software and things he wanted to buy or purchase, I suppose. But in that first year's filing for 2018, we can't find any charitable work that he did with $70,000. I don't know what he did for charity. I know he bought a lot of stuff. And we reported on that. And it is my belief, after looking at this paperwork, and I believe that it is a fair assessment, Mr. Wilcock and his wife did zero charitable work in the first year. Now, some would argue, and I believe he may have even argued in paperwork, that this first year we're just setting up to do all these great charitable things that we're going to do. So here are some of the expenses that he claimed. Remember, he collected $70,000 in essentially free money that people were giving him to do charitable work. And what did he do with that money? Well, he bought $4,675 worth of audio and video supplies. That's right, microphones, cameras, totally pro equipment. You could buy a lot of broadcast equipment for $4,675. But some questions pop up immediately. What relationship does this charity and the money he's spending for his so-called charity have with his for-profit company, Divine Cosmos LLC? If he's buying $4,675 worth of audio and video supplies for his charity, is he also using the same audio and video supplies to produce for-profit content for his for-profit business, Divine Cosmos LLC? We see he charged the charity for $126 in auto expenses. I don't know what that's about. We have $60 in bank fees. Oh, his charity got $759 worth of computer supplies. Were those separate from the computer supplies that his for-profit business uses, or is he using computer supplies from his charity for his for-profit business as well? This one seemed odd. He's charging the charity for his internet. And I just want to know, is he using the same internet to perform his for-profit business's internet needs? Or is this internet just for his charity and he pays a separate bill for his for-profit business's internet needs? This one I found especially troubling. David Wilcock collected $70,000. He and his wife collected $70,000 to do charitable work with. I don't see that they gave any money to charity here or did any charitable work, but what we do see is that they spent some $4,000, $3,973 in that 1 year period on meals and entertainment. $3,973 for meals and entertainment. And I would just ask the question, why would people that are giving him money to do charitable work want him to spend $4,000 of their donated dollars on meals and entertainment for himself? Here we have another $1,975 that he spent on production supplies. What is production supplies? Your guess is as good as mine, but somehow David Wilcock spent almost $2,000 on production supplies. He charged $19 to the charity for research and development, R&D. Now, here's where it gets great. David Wilcock purchased $5,585 worth of software out of those charitable donations. And again, I'm asking, is that software solely for use by his nonprofit charity here? Or is he using that software, the same software he purchased for his charity, is he using that software for his for-profit business, Divine Cosmos LLC, and his other for-profit business ventures like writing books, etc., producing content, etc., doing live streams, etc., collecting super chat donations, collecting YouTube ad revenue? Is he using that software for that as well? Now we get to the big one. Somehow David Wilcock bought $10,461 worth of supplies. And I would just like to publicly ask David Wilcock, what supplies did you need that cost $10,000 to do zero charitable work in a year? You didn't do any charitable work this year, this first year. You didn't give any charities any money. How did you need $10,461 worth of supplies to do zero charitable work? He also charged to the charity $372 for travel expenses. Also, $229 for website design. That's a reasonable. I'll give him that one. So it's interesting to see he collected $70,000. This is what he spent 30 of those $70,000 on, or near 30, $29,236. What did he spend on charity? What did he spend on? What was his stated mission purpose again? I have it right here. How much of that $70,000 did he spend on providing a spiritual message that can help uplift, bring peace and hope in the lives of many? I mean, there are street preachers that provide a spiritual message that can help uplift, bring peace and hope in the lives of many for free. They don't collect $70,000 to do that charitable work. They just do it. But somehow David Wilcock and his wife were able to collect some $70,000 in their first year as a charity. They were able to spend almost 30 of it on themselves, I believe, but weren't able to make, let's say, a single sandwich to hand to a homeless person, or they weren't able to volunteer for a day entertaining children at a orphanage or children's hospital. That would be a valid charitable work. No, they collected $70,000 and they bought supplies, software, and things for their mansions. That's what it looks like. That's what I'm saying may just be what happened here. Now, we can move on because finally, friends, we have the proof and evidence that I've been trying to get for 2 years. For 2 years now, I've been checking that IRS website. For 2 years now, I've been checking public charity watchdog organizations' websites. For 2 years now, I have been trying to get these 990 forms for the year 2018 and 2030. And I was looking for those forms, which he's legally required to file by law, but somehow wasn't able to do in 2019 and somehow wasn't able to do in 2020 until now. Because as luck would have it, he finally recently filed his 2020 filing. And for some reason, he gave a summary of the 3 years, but he didn't provide a 2019 breakdown of what he spent the money on. So he's still in violation of IRS regulations concerning filing the 990 form annually. But there are some amazing things on this new 2020 form, which we were able to source. And this 2020 form paints an even clearer picture of exactly what David Wilcock and his wife have been doing with all this money. So I also just want to caution anybody that's going to try to privacy strike me or whatever. I have lawyer letters standing by. I'm not going to be threatened, intimidated, or harassed into taking videos down or information down. Everything I'm sharing is available in public records. It was sourced and obtained from the irs.gov website. It is a public record, and therefore I am within my legal rights as a investigative reporter to share this public document. And so we're going to do that. All right, we're going to get to the 2020 form, friends, and it gets better. It gets so much better. So first we're going to go up here, and we're going to remember this is the 2020 filing. He skipped 2019, and he has yet to show us what he spent in 2019, what expenses he had. What did he do with all the money that he has been collecting? He has not given us the 2019 form, but we do have the 2020 form. And in 2020, boy, things have gone downhill, because in the first year of pumping this charity, David Wilcock and his wife collected $70,000. But for the year 2020, apparently contributions, gifts, grants, and similar amounts received. He only got $20,000, friends. Only $20,000. Now we see some of his expenses for his charity for the year 2020. He paid out $2,376 in professional fees. He paid out $75 in occupancy, rent, utilities, and maintenance for a whole charity. I don't understand how you pay rent for the year for a charity's headquarters with only $75. That doesn't make sense to me. Even though David Wilcock and his wife have, I believe, several $1 million mansions. I mean, what do? Rent a closet in one of their mansions for $75? Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is for printing, publications, postage, and shipping. Here's the problem that I have. They listed there is no expenses for occupancy, rent, utilities, and maintenance for a whole charity. But they got a bunch of $1 million mansions or a couple. So I don't understand how that works. Are they just, maybe they're just generously donating one of their mansions to be used for their charitable work? You know, the charitable work that they don't do. Okay. Now, other expenses. Boy, David Wilcock and his wife in the year 2020, they collected $20,183 and they managed to spend $18,955 plus $2,376 plus 75. Yeah, they spent $1,223 more than they collected in charitable donations. But it's okay because they have a rollover from the previous year. They still had $44,000 sitting around from the previous year. I mean, wouldn't it have been a good idea if you had a year where the net, you still had $44,000 left, is maybe give, I don't know, half of that, maybe give $22,000 to charitable organizations, because then you'd at least be given 50% of the money that your charity is, taking in donations. You'd at least be given 50% to actual charity instead of just spending it all on whatever you guys want. I don't understand how this works. I don't understand how any of this is legal. I'm gonna consult with a former IRS tax attorney and have him try to explain this to me, because I don't get it. I worked in accounting too, and I still don't get it. All right. Now, he lists $70,853 in cash, savings, and investments. He lists $5,582 as other assets. So he lists for 2020 that they have $76,000 in total assets, but $32,000 in bills, which leaves $44,352. And this is at the end of the year. So it's very confusing. I'll just put it at that. It's very confusing. But somehow he started the year off with $70,853 in cash, savings, and investments for his charitable organization. They had $70,853 with which to conduct charitable good work with. And at the end of the year, they have $2,734, which means they somehow managed to spend, I believe, something like $67,000 or $68,000. Boy, this is great. Yeah. But in other assets, they were down to $5,582 and somehow went up to $44,075 in the year 2020. Their total assets went down from $76,435 to $46,809. I guess they counted the new, donations for the year, that $20,000. The liabilities went down from $32,083 in bills to only $3,036.80. So I guess they paid a whole lot of bills, but what was all those bills? Didn't you pay them the previous year? I'm so confused here about this whole money game. And I worked in accounting, and none of this makes any sense to me, but it is what it is. So net assets or fund balances, they're down to $43,129. But it gets better. It gets much, much better, friends. It gets much, much better, and we get a little bit more detail because we get to see a breakdown here that he provides of all of the donations that he has received since he began his charity. So we got 94,000 in 2018. David and Elizabeth Wilcock collected $35,631 in the year 2019. And again, for their charity in the year 2020, they collected $20,183. This makes the total that they have collected so far for their charity $149,814. But it gets better. Gets better and more confusing, but better or worse. I guess if you're David Wilcock's tax attorney, this doesn't get better. It gets worse. So here we see some expenses for the year 2020 for David Wilcock's charity. He spent $800 on advertising and promotion of his charity that so far I can't tell has done a single charitable work or given any money to charity, but actually we will see that they've given a small percentage of their total take to charity. He charged the charities, spent $97 on office expenses. Well, that's better than the $10,000 or so that he charged, that he claimed that they spent on supplies the first year, I guess. He paid $116 in interest, and we'll see why in a moment. Depreciation, he's charging for depreciation, which is things like, the furniture we bought 2 years ago went down in value. So there's depreciation with the assets that that the charity has. That's kind of a BS expense, and you don't really need to take that, but okay. Amortization, we're not going to get into that. Here's where it gets interesting. So remember, they collected almost $150,000 in charitable donations. They haven't done, they themselves, any actual charitable work, but they did once list all these other charities on their website. And I called all those charities, and at one point at least, the charities that they listed that they said they worked with on their website never received any charitable contributions. They told me, like the Sloth organization told me, no, they just help publicize our organization so that maybe people will directly donate to us based on their, recommending that they do. So I don't know that David Wilcock and Elizabeth Wilcock have actually made real charitable contributions, but they're claiming they did on a federal form here. And knowingly or willingly putting inaccurate information here is problematic. So I'm going to ask, just so I can be thorough, that we receive a breakdown from David and Elizabeth Wilcock with receipts and the names of the charities that you contributed $7,026 to. Because I have a feeling that they're not willing to do that. And I have a feeling that I know why. So I'm just going to ask the question here. David and Elizabeth Wilcock, can we get a more accurate breakdown of who and what organizations you gave $7,026 in charitable contributions to? I think that would clear a lot of things up. And I'd like to be able to have that list and call each of the charities and verify your charitable contribution to those charities. Next, we have web hosting services, which is really problematic for me because you can get web hosting from GoDaddy for $20 a month, which means something like $240 a year. There's many, many web hosting services that you can get for $20 a month with space. I would think that would be ample, more than ample, for whatever charity work that David Wilcock is doing and needs web hosting services for. But he's somehow saying that his charity spent 10 times what most people spend for web hosting services. So I don't understand that. Why is he spending 10 times what web hosting services generally cost a small charity? Or is he making his charity pay for all his web hosting services and all of his online web space for all of his endeavors, including the for-profit business he runs? I'd like to see a breakdown, Mr. Wilcock, of why you spent something like more than 10 times what most small charities would spend on web hosting services. again, email service provider. He's saying that they spent $1,742 on an email service provider. Hey, David Wilcock, I got an idea for you. It's called Gmail. It's free. Why would you not just set up Gmail accounts? Why would you instead choose to spend $1,742 to get some email services? It doesn't make sense. Next, he's charging, the charity is claiming $1,440 for telephone expenses. And again, I want to ask, why is David Wilcock's charitable donations paying for him and his wife's cell phone bill? Is that what that is? Do you not talk about your for-profit businesses on those same cell phones? Do you not talk to your friends and family and socialize and make social calls on those same telephones? It doesn't make sense to say that your charity has to pay your entire cell phone bill. But it is what it is. Next, he claims that his charity needed $650 to pay for security. What are you paying for security for a charity for? What charity needs security? I don't understand this. And here we go again. David Wilcock needed to buy some new software, so he spent $364 on software. We've got $340 on bank fees. I'll give him that. I don't care. Repairs and maintenance, $311. That's reasonable. I don't care. Utilities, $293 for the year. I don't understand. Is the charity just hanging out in your $1 million mansion? And what extra utilities did your charity that didn't do any charitable work consume that you had to make your charitable donators pay for $293 worth of your utilities? And again, with the audio expenses, all right, maybe I'll give him that, $170. I don't know. Is his charities paying for him and his wife's oil changes, maybe? I don't understand that. I'd like an explanation. Dues and subscriptions, $119. Apparently, if you donate to David Wilcock's charity, you've got to help him pay for dues and subscriptions to, I guess, I don't know, other spiritual websites or stuff that he buys. I don't understand what that's about. Merchant account fees, $88, whatever. I'll give him that. I won't even complain. Furnitures and fixtures, beginning $3,198 he spent on furniture and fixtures. This is in addition to all the money he's already spent on furnitures and fixtures for the year 2018. And God knows how much he spent on furniture for the year 2019 that he refuses so far to disclose. And ending $1,917. So I don't understand if he's taking depreciation, saying his furniture devalued by over $1,000, or if he spent more money on furniture. A little confused on that. You'll have to pardon me. It's been a long time since I worked in corporate accounting. Machinery and equipment, beginning $2,384, ending $1,430. And again, I don't know if this is more money he's spending on machinery and equipment, or he's taking a depreciation here. He's charging people who are giving him charitable donations for his machinery and equipment going down in value. Amazing. It's amazing. Okay, here's intangible assets. He's saying that they have $7,482 in intangible assets. Intangible assets for a charity are usually like stocks, bonds, something like that. Some asset that's liquid or could be liquidated. Here's where we get really interesting. Due from Divine Cosmos LLC, beginning $0. Due from Divine Cosmos LLC, ending. Apparently, his for-profit business donated $33,246 to his nonprofit charity. Now, what does that mean? That means that his business gets a big tax write-off for a $33,000 contribution to his own charity. That's right. He gets out of paying more taxes. It's not enough for him to get out of paying all the taxes on the $150,000 that he and his wife collected tax-free and spent on whatever they wanted. He had to donate from his for-profit business to his nonprofit charity $33,000 so that he could get out of paying more taxes he owes the federal government, or would owe the federal government. Here's where it gets interesting again. Credit card liability. He started the year with $1,323 in credit card bills. And I would just like to ask the audience, what did he spend on credit cards to the tune of $1,323 for his charity that did not do any charitable donations and just claimed that they gave a very, very small percentage of the $150,000 they've collected so far to charity? Why would he be spending? Why would he be spending money on a credit card for a charity that apparently has money on hand? I don't understand that. And now we get to credit card liability ending, $3,680. So he spent even more money, another few $1,000s he spent on a credit card for his charity that so far we can't see anything that they do that's charitable. So what is he spending first $1,323 for? And then at the end of the year, he's up to $3,680 in credit card bills for a charity. I don't understand any of his accounting here. Somebody's got to explain this to me. Now we get another great one. Total beginning $30,760. So it would appear to me, if I'm correct in my interpretation here, is that David Wilcock took out and spent a $30,760 line of credit for his charity that so far hasn't done any charitable work, but has given, by his own claims and not proof of his own claims, $7,000 to charity. This is all of this is very problematic. But here's how I can sum it up for you. David Wilcock, if you count the credit cards and also the $30,000 line of credit that he opened for his charity, has collected, amassed, gathered together, had at his disposal, whatever you want to call it, the total take from David Wilcock's charity so far in liquid assets seems to be $183,000 or thereabouts. Now, if we are to believe David Wilcock and Elizabeth Wilcock, and they actually did give that $7,000 or so that they claimed went to real 501c3 charities. And again, I want to see the proof. I don't believe them that he did. I want to see the proof. I want to see the canceled checks that his charity wrote to other charities to the tune of $7,000. Because, pardon me, I'm not trusting the word of David Wilcock at this point with anything financial from what I have seen and what I have witnessed here so far. So, how to sum this up, friends? David and Elizabeth Wilcock started a charity. They told everyone that the stated purpose of their charity would be to provide a spiritual message that can help uplift, bring peace and hope in the lives of many. After starting that charity, they raised an astonishing, to me, $183,000 in assets with their charity. $150,000 came from donations from the public. 30 or 33,000 or so came from David Wilcock opening lines of credit or spending money on credit cards for his charity. The grand total then is $183,000 or so, give or take. But again, if we are to believe David and Elizabeth Wilcock, only $7,000 of that $183,000 that they generated, got credit on, and had access to, only $7,000 went to charity. Which means, friends, if you do the math, David Wilcock and his wife gave less than 4 cents per dollar collected or generated to actual charity. I'm going to say that again. Out of $183,000 collected or generated through credit lines issued to the charity, only $7,000 went to charity. Again, I'm not sure that it did. I'd like to see the receipts and the proof and the canceled checks for that. But even if I'm fair and say, okay, they gave $7,000 out of that $183,000 collected and generated, only $7,000 went to charity. That means less than 4 cents per dollar actually went to charity. Actually, it's 3.82 cents per dollar they collected or generated for their charity went to actual charity. And that's if we're to believe them, that they cut those checks. And I want to see those checks that they cut. So this is where we're at, and this is where we find ourselves. And this is the information that I've been trying to bring people for a few years now. But I've only now been able to do an analysis and bring this information to the public. I consider this a charitable work myself. It's a thankless job. Both fact-checking and finance-checking David Wilcock. I would also like to state that the purpose of this video is not to demean, harass, intimidate, or damage the reputation of either David and Elizabeth Wilcock or their charity, the Wilcock Spiritual Empowerment Foundation. That's not my purpose here. My purpose here is to inform the public that David and Elizabeth Wilcock collected or generated some $183,000 in 3 years, and they only gave less than 4 cents on the dollar to actual charity. And that is, if you believe them. We haven't actually seen the proof that they did give the $7,000 to charity. But I have a feeling he might provide that, right? And he'll be all smug. We gave the $7,000, but he and his wife are never going to talk about what happened to the other 95 cents on the dollar. How in the world could you have spent all that money and given so little to charity and done so little for charity? I don't understand this. I don't understand any of this. But this is where we find ourselves in this wacky, wackadoo world where people can start charities, collect $150,000, and then here we'll give the peasants the $7,000, but we're going to keep $143,000 so that me, David Wilcock, can buy cameras and software and microphones and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of software. Oh, and me and my wife can go and spend $4,000 on meals and entertainment thanks to these stupid people that gave us all this free money for our charity. Our charity's going out to dinner tonight and tomorrow and the next night and the next night. And we're going to make the charity pay for all of our fancy meals to the tune of $4,000 in 1 year. But there's nothing wrong here. Nothing to see here, right? Move ahead. Don't bother them. And they do this. Oh, people focus on the negative, and that's not healthy. You can't focus on the negative. I'm not focusing on the negative. I'm focusing on all this money you're collecting and spending on yourself when you're telling people you're running a charity. This is ridiculous. How is this man allowed to do this? How is this legal? And this guy is a spiritual guru? Shouldn't a spiritual guru be a little more enlightened, right? And know, gee, if I collect $150,000, maybe I shouldn't spend $4,000 of it on fancy meals for me and my wife. That would look bad with me being a spiritual guru and all, right? Maybe a spiritual and enlightened man would know that you can't just spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on toys you want to buy and expect people donating to your charity to pay for it. But what do I know? I'm a guy here making sometimes better than Taco Bell wages to tell people the truth about these things instead of lie to them and cheat them out of money. And this is where we find ourselves at this strange crossroad. Will David Wilcock ever pay a price for this that he has done? I hope so. We talked about it previously. Maybe karma is coming. I believe in karma. But the unfortunate part of karma, the very unfortunate part of karma, is that often karma takes too long. For years now, David Wilcock has been doing what he does. And so far, has not paid even a karmic price, let alone a legal price for that which he has done. Hopefully, that old saying, every dog has his day, is true. And may today perhaps be it, at least for his charity. Because I'm hearing that when you go to push the donate button, it's not working now. Not sure why that is. Have they given up on their charity? Is this form that we have shared tonight his last way to try to weasel out of that whole charity situation and explain where all the money went? Because he hasn't yet. And he's still legally required to give us an itemized breakdown of his expenses for his charity for the year 2019. And I will continue to ask him for that. And I will continue to check the IRS website for that to see why he hasn't filed it. Not sure what else I could say about this situation, except that I'm glad that I could apparently finally put this story behind me. This is the story of David Wilcock's charity with his wife, Elizabeth Wilcock. This is the story of how they collected $150,000, only gave $7,000 to charity, and apparently just spent the rest of the money. This is the story. And no one that I knew was willing to cover this story. Why? I think it's a story that people need to hear, especially people that have donated money to he and his wife's charity. Because after all, how would the people that have given all this money feel knowing that only 3.8 cents of every dollar that they gave David and Elizabeth Wilcock actually made its way to a charity, and they spent the rest? How would people who gave them large sums of money, you don't collect $150,000 with a bunch of people just sending you $3. There were some whales in there, some people that gave them big checks. How would those people who gave them big checks feel knowing that less than 4 cents for every dollar they gave David and Elizabeth Wilcock actually made its way to charity? How would they feel knowing it? Don't they have the right to know that less than 4 cents of every dollar they gave David and Elizabeth Wilcock actually made its way to charity? And that's if we believe them. I don't. But look, I'm waiting. I will ask that, right? I want to thank Jackie O for a kind and generous $5 super chat. Says, can't stop, just popped in for a moment. Have a great show, everyone. Thank you, Jackie O, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Oh, that's 5 Great Britain pounds, I think. Yes. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, and for helping us to praise the cash. Now, I'd like to remind you that if you'd like to help me praise the cash, right? I'm not collecting $150,000 in 3 years, but of course, but I'm also not lying to you and telling you that I'm spending this money or doing charity with this $150,000 and then only spend less than 4 cents of every dollar on it. No, every dollar that we collect here goes back into the show. We try to reinvest, and we try to make the show bigger, better, and reach a broader audience. That's what we're doing with the little bit of funds that we are collecting. So there is a money button down there. It's called the super chat. You just hit that money button, Send any amount you like and it goes in our hat. And YouTube generously and kindly translates all the world's currency. So anywhere in the world you are, if you feel like supporting our amazing work here, you can do that. You can help us continue this work. If David Wilcock and his wife deserve $150,000 over 3 years to lie to people and say they're doing charitable work, then I think telling people the truth has value too. And if you do too, throw a couple of bucks in the hat. Brother, can you spare $1? But if you can't, it's still okay. You can also donate to us on PayPal or join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. That helps. But failing that, you can also do us a solid and really help in another way. And that is to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos, especially this one. This one is most important. This is one of the most important special reports I've ever put together. And every single person that donated to David and Elizabeth Wilcock's charity needs to hear this information. They deserve to hear this information. But sometimes my bullhorn gets drowned out with these guys with huge followings. Don't let this voice be drowned out. Share this video on Twitter. Share this video on Facebook. Share it on Instagram or anywhere you can. Send it to people in email that you think need to hear this message. Help us spread this message. And it really does help with the algorithm if you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Do you think it's fair that David and Elizabeth Wilcock are just allowed to collect $150,000 in charitable contributions, only give $7,000 of it to actual charity, and then just spend the rest on whatever they want? Is that fair? Are there any lawyers listening to this? Does this sound legal to you? I don't know. Are there any tax attorneys or people that work for the IRS within the sound of my voice? Does this sound like this is on the up and up to you? Because I'm confused and I need somebody to explain this to me. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at, friends. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. We're going to go and read all the super chats now. So let's read some super chats. You've heard my pitch. I don't have much of a pitch. Usually I joke and use televangelists, right? Begging for money, because they do a better job than I do begging for money. But tonight you just got my my off-the-cuff pitch. So we're going to read all the super chats. Thanks everyone for their kindness, their generosity, and their support of the show. Our first super chat tonight, by the way, I missed one earlier. We did a show earlier today, which you may want to check out. I'm getting lots of great feedback from that one. So earlier today, I missed reading one of the super chats, and my apologies. And just for everybody, so everybody knows, we read every single super chat here for every show. If by chance you put one in at the end or I somehow miss one, we read it on the very next show. But we read every single super chat here. So on our previous show at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time earlier, Sidvich actually donated a kind and generous KR. I don't know what that is. 50 KR or NOK. I think that's 50 Norwegian dollars. Sidvich asks, can I become blue so I can share our disco and stuff? You freaking slowpoke. I'm not even sure what that means. Can I become blue so I can share our disco and stuff? You freaking slowpoke. Oh, blue. Maybe he wants to be a moderator, right? Yes, I'll make you a moderator the first chance I get. And thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, Mr. Sidvich. Next for tonight's super chats, we only got a few, but that's okay. We got a kind and generous £5, Great Britain pound, super chat donation from Jackie O, who says, can't stop, just popped in for a moment. Have a great show, everyone. And some smiley faces. Thank you for popping in. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you, especially. That's very generous just to pop into the show and throw some money in the hat. I hope you catch the replay. Thank you, Jackie O, for your kindness, generosity, and support. Mr. DB Cooper 77 with a kind and generous $5 super chat says, anyone with an ounce of intelligence can see that Wilcock, Kari, and Anjali all have holes in their stories. Too many red flags. Can't say I disagree with you, Mr. D.B. Cooper 77. Finally, Ron from Cosmic Neighbors chiming in again with a kind and generous $5 super chat saying, Stephen, finally received the parts. You'll have your printer next week, my brother. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. Ron from Cosmic Neighbors is going to send me a spare 3D printer that he has. And that would really help in a current project that I've been trying to finish for literally more than a year. And please pardon me, folks, listening in audio podcast land. I almost made it through. Almost made it through. Okay, we have a few more super chats that I missed. A couple more came in. So, wow, am I thankful for that. Let me get back to the super chats. Sorry here. Let me see. Mr. DB Cooper 77 with another kind and generous $5 super chat says, I do appreciate your work, Steve. Could you have been a little hard? Yeah, I guess sometimes I'm a little harsh, right? And for that, I apologize. Maybe we should try a kindler, gentler Stephen Cambion and see how that goes. Sometimes I just get emotional. These things affect me. Get angry. I'm all too human after all. All too human after all. But thank you for your kindness, your generosity. And the Dirty Pox with a kind and generous €5 says, Steve, bro, thoughts on ghosts? I can tell for a fact here in Ireland, there are ghosts. Well, that's very interesting. Yeah, I can tell for a fact here in Ireland, it's haunted AF. Nice JC Denton glasses. Peace. Well, thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. I want to thank everybody. What a generous bunch of people. And I'm going to do one more thing, which is to check in. You can also make a PayPal donation. And I highly encourage people who want to throw a few bucks in their hat. If you're going to send us a large amount, maybe it's best to do it through Buy Me a Coffee, links in the description, or PayPal, because then we keep a larger percentage of it. No, I think we're up to date on calling out the PayPal donations. We haven't gotten any today, but that's okay because we have other kind and generous people all over the world sending us super chats, new people subscribing to our Patreon, which I would highly recommend you do. Thank you very much, the Dirty Pox. And thank you, Mr. DB Cooper. And thank you to everyone tonight who has thrown a few bucks in the hat and helped us because you're helping us to move the show forward. You're helping us to pay the show's bills. And it really does help when you help us to praise the cash, friends. Praise the cash. Hallelujah. What a generous bunch of people tonight.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. You're watching Truthseekers. Praise the cash, praise the
cash. So thank you all for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. It is truly much appreciated. Look at this. Mr. DB Cooper, you made me crack up. Mr. DB Cooper keeps throwing $5 bills at me. I feel like the stripper in the strip club that everybody's giving singles to, and then a dude starts throwing 5s or 10s around, so that stripper girl's got to like. So this is me, Mr. DB Cooper. You know, just like that stripper that noticed that this guy's throwing 5s, not 1s. That's what it made me think of. It really did. Says, no, I like regular Steve. No kind Steve, please. Yeah, some people like me yelling and screaming and getting pissed off, right? Mr. DB Cooper with another kind and generous $5 super chat saying, praise the cash. I pray you help me praise the cash more than anybody tonight, Mr. DB Cooper. 77. Thank you very much. It is much, much appreciated. So if we have any comments or questions, Randall Hill says, your family is awesome. My son wants to learn to do a show, and I'm helping him. And in fact, I just gave him some really nice puppets today. And they're puppets that are so nice, you don't really want to give them to a 5-year-old. At least I don't. But he has really been asking for puppets, but he wanted like Kermit and some of the Muppet puppets to do a show with, and he says he's going to do a YouTube show. And I said, you really can't do that because somebody else owns Kermit. What if you had your own original puppets? And he was like, yeah, then I can praise the cash, right, on YouTube. And I said, yeah. So I'm going to be helping him try to get his puppet show together, and maybe we'll make a video. Wilcock, thank you, Ancient Aliens fans, for the $20,000. Elizabeth, say some shit. Get my kombucha. Yeah, it's crazy. Spooky says, Stripper Steve is not something we need, but if people insist, Spooky, I'll put a poll in here if people will throw more super chats at me. I will put a poll. I will dance on a pole, okay? And pasties, if that's what it takes to succeed in our mission. I will not be stopped, right? Out of Mind says he is tax exempt. Athlete guy scamming for a living pays even more when you are tax free. Yes, Out of Mind. And we got to see that $150,000 worth of tax-free money he doesn't have to pay any income tax on wasn't enough for him. He also had to donate $32,000 from his for-profit business to his charity so that he could get out of paying more taxes. Awesome. Awesome. All you slobs going to work every day, paying those taxes, David Wilcock's too good, too arrogant, too self-important to pay income tax like the rest of us have to. Remember, he's like the savior, right? He's the most important prophet on earth, according to him. Wow. Thanks very much, Mr. DB Cooper, with a kind and generous $20 donation. Says, give these 20 to your boy, bro. You know what? I happen to have a wallet with $20 in it. So I will do that. I will do that just for you, Mr. DB Cooper 77, because I do want to encourage him to both help me with the show and develop his own ideas for a show. He's very interested in this stuff. He loves microphones and cameras and puppets, and I'm going to encourage that in him because, quite honestly, I liked those things when I was a kid, and nobody encouraged me. And maybe that's why I'm so messed up now, right? You never know, right? You never know. But thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, and for helping us to praise the cash. He'll be happy to hear that he got a $20 cash praise just for him tonight. I'll let him use that to buy show supplies for himself, right? Or something. Spooky also suggesting OnlyFans. Maybe David will start an OnlyFans account. I was going to start an OnlyFans account, but in my OnlyFans, people had to pay me money every month to keep my clothing on, right? Out of Mind says, please get an OnlyFans then, Steve. Nobody wants to see me naked. Out of Mind. Not even my wife. She makes me turn the lights out, I think she has a theory, Out of Mind, my wife. It's like the darker the room is, the sexier and more handsome I become to her. So that's how we do it. Yeah. Hey, the Dirty Pox asking, what are your personal thoughts on ghost paranormal? I think there's something to some of it, but just like UFOs, the field of ghosts and paranormal stuff is filled with hundreds and hundreds of fake stories, fake sources. It's another minefield to navigate to get to the good stuff. But is there good stuff? Oh, I think there is. And I think we may be exploring a lot more of it going forward, right? I think we may be. So what can I say, folks? We're going to call this a short one because I wanted this to be concise and data rich and driven by the data that we have to share and not so much commentary. And I think we accomplished that tonight. I want to thank Spooky for the excellent job doing double duty, doing all these thumbnails and art and graphics and helping with some things. And I'm going to be talking to her about this clip that we're making next. And also, there's a link to buy Kari a coffee in the description. I encourage you to do that. Besides throwing some money at me, if you're feeling generous, throw some money at Kari, who helps me do this. And, I try to throw some money at her, but, finances being what they are. Yeah. And so I'd also like to invite you to please do be sure to join my Patreon, because I'm working on a new music album. I'm wearing an old band shirt of mine, committing that cardinal sin that you never commit as a guy in a band. Never wear your own shirt. That's cheesy. But I was feeling a little bit nostalgic, so I'm wearing my own old band shirt from ages ago. That was one project that I did. It was called Haywire. Previous to that, I did another project called Cambian's Curse. Most recently, I did this very long music project and produced a 7-hour plus long concept album called The Long and Winding Road. I thought that Haywire really was over at that point. All the people that were involved in helping me with Haywire were gone out of my life. Wasn't really a band ever to begin with. It was a solo project. I was always the principal songwriter. Same for Cambian's Curse. And also, I did this new project, and I called it Dreams in the Dark. So it would appear to me that my entire life, I have been hiding behind masks and monikers when I release my music. Now, I used to justify it, even being able to cite from music business references that bands sold a lot more albums than solo artists. Largely and overall, anyway. So instead of just putting my name on my albums, for one reason or another, I would hide behind a mask or a moniker or a fake band that didn't really exist. And the truth is that I'm a maniac in the studio. And yeah, I got guys to help me, but I wrote the songs. I arranged the songs. I mixed the songs. I produced the songs. I mastered the songs. I made the music videos for the songs. I marketed the songs. I guess with age comes wisdom. Or maybe you finally find band names and masks and monikers. So my new album that I have been slowly releasing songs every month, a few songs get released on my Patreon, and you can sign up for $1 a month if you want to support my artistic endeavors, which includes this show and some of my music making. But here's the thing. I'm producing this new album, and for the first time, I'm not going to hide behind a fake band that doesn't exist or some moniker that is supposed to encompass it's me doing this project, but we have maybe some other guest stars. No, I'm making my first ever real Stephen Cambian solo album. And there's pieces of it all over Patreon if you're curious. I'm not going to hide behind a mask, a moniker, or a fake band name. Those things had their time and place. I guess I'm just not interested in pretending very much anymore. So I'll be releasing my new album soon. I don't know. We're up to 16 songs, but I believe that it's going to be a 20-song album that will clock in at under 80 minutes for sure, but more than an hour for sure. There should be 20 songs, And I'm going to try to charge $20 for it because I believe each of the songs to somebody that appreciates music is worth $1. And for that $20, you will also be getting a physical CD. That's right, against my better judgment, but liking physical medium and realizing that people want to get something for their money. And a digital download link is great, but I'm going to include a digital download link, and I'm going to physically mail you a real physical CD. So that's where we're at with the album. People have asked me about it. I'm hoping to finish the last few songs and schedule a release date very soon. I haven't really publicly released any of the songs on the new album yet. They've all been behind my Patreon paywall for $1. And part of me wanted to do that because a lot of people ask me about my music and say, hey, can I hear some of the songs you're working on? And I say, yeah, it's on Patreon. But to a lot of people, I'm not worth $1. And that's okay. But to those who cared enough to encourage me with their $1 or more a month, it really did help me to focus and to work hard on this new music, this new project, which I am so far, the album is just going to have Stephen Cambion on it. Now, I have a title in mind, but I may change my mind, so I don't want to drop that just yet. But tonight, I'd like to play us out with one song, which I am going to release publicly here. This is going to be the first time that the public gets to hear any songs from my new and upcoming now solo album. So this is the first song from the Stephen Cambion album, which I'm hoping will be finished and released and available for purchase soon. And I'll let you know more when I know more. Now, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Always say this, always happy when there's an audience. So glad that you guys could come here and be a part of mine. Instead of doing our normal outro, I'm simply going to play us out with my new song. This is The War Is Won. And it's not by some fake band that doesn't exist. And it's not by a mask or moniker. No. This is a song called The War Is Won. And it's by me, Stephen Cambion. So until next time, friends, good night and God bless all of you.
them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap, gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs. Won't you fight for your life? Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. I don't like the frogs. Gay. Friggin' frogs. Quack, 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 quack. Frogs. Friggin' frog crap. Won't you fight the frogs? It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you.